Good morning, good morning. Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of coffee. Chaga tea. How's that? Hey, like I said 2 weeks ago when the bailout was signed, they're going to have to come back to Congress in the middle of April for a new bailout. And voila, that's exactly what they're doing. Now, will they pass it? I do not know. From the Hill, aides expect Schumer and Mnuchin to reach a deal on coronavirus relief. Of course, Mnuchin didn't say that, and Schumer didn't say that. Mnuchin's coming begging, and Schumer has the power. Here's what's going on right now. Schumer and the Democrats see their opportunity to win the election by keeping the economy in disrepair, destroyed. They don't have to worry about that. It's destroyed anyway. But how far will they take it? Will they not give the bailout to Mnuchin, which means less money for market rigging and the population all pissed off at the Democrats? I don't know. If they don't bail out the banks, it's over. I've been saying that for a zillion years. If they don't bail out the banks, it's over. The game is over. So we'll see. I mean, supposedly it's Congress always approves spending, always approves spending, and money is free and easy to create. If they don't get this passed, you will see the Fed basically say, we are going to buy everything. We're going to create the money to buy everything from stocks to bonds to commodities, gold and silver, you name it. They will buy absolutely everything. They are buying gold and silver. I don't think they are buying gold. They're probably buying silver behind the scenes, the U.S. government. Gold, they got massive amounts. They don't need more gold. Silver is completely not available. Now, having said that, there are some random type bars available at Miles Franklin. I talked to Andy the other day, and he's got some inventory in if you want. I think it's the Dragon bars, 1 ounce Dragon bars. If you want them, send him an email, andy@milesfranklin.com. He can also take orders for shipments going out. He's waiting on the U.S. Mint. So your credit risk is the U.S. government and the U.S. Mint, and then Miles Franklin. I'm vouching for Miles Franklin. They're amazing. They've never had a complaint in, what was it, 20 years, 30 years in business, forever in business. And the U.S. government, I don't know. Are they going to keep making the silver eagles? If they are, then you don't have a problem. They'll get to you. So it's up to you. I personally would go to my local coin shop and buy all the silver they had, or anything Andy's got available for shipment now. I would dive onto that, whatever that silver is. So send them an email, andy@milesfranklin.com. Okay, so we got the Mnuchin and Schumer. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and Senate Democratic leader Schumer are expected to reach a deal this week on interim coronavirus relief bill that would provide money to businesses, hospitals, and state government. This deal could lead to legislation being passed quickly through the Senate on Thursday and through the House no later than next week. So here they are for the second bill. Now, Mnuchin's going to try to sneak in something for the banks. They need it. They absolutely need it. Now, how much has JP Morgan benefited from the trillions of dollars that have been pumped into the economy? You would think it was a gigantic amount in the first quarter, right? They made $16 billion, but they took probably over a trillion and then leveraged it to 20. They needed so much money and they only made 16 billion. This quarter they will make zero unless they let the silver price boom, and that's what I believe is going to happen. Keep an eye on major moves in silver this month and next month. I'm working on the timeline, but it's very difficult. It's a moving target. And I don't want to throw out something that's just completely off. So all you Road to Ruta private road members, it's coming. It's just we're somewhere between the best case and the worst case scenario now about how this is going to fold out. But hey, keep an eye out for that. But the House will not return to Washington until at least the week of May 4th, given the danger of the coronavirus, which has sent lawmakers in both chambers home. So House won't be able to vote on it until May 4th. Wow. And then they come back and they want to take Trump out, and they know they got to continue to have shitty economy. which is not being seen in the stock market right now, which is sitting at 23,269. Why is it being seen in the stock market? You might say, well, what do you mean? Bix is down from 2,900. That's nothing. That's nothing. The PE ratio is up at 24, one of the highest since like .com days. It is insane what is happening right now. Stock market is massively overvalued because Steve Mnuchin keeps buying, and the plunge protection team. They're in there buying stocks, bonds, you name it, that they want to go up. They're rigging the oil market. For some reason, somebody wants that oil market to go down. And it's absolutely destroying all the oil companies, which is one of the largest investments of all these big banks. There's just a monster battle going on right now. But just to prove to you that the stock market is massively overvalued, companies will be falling like flies over the next month. Watch this. Bank of America profits plunge 45% on $4.8 billion in expected credit losses from coronavirus. That's not all. They're losing more than that. Remember, they're hyper levered. Who's the big loser in the derivative market? If JP Morgan was the big winner, who's the big loser? B of A has, I think, 40 something billion in derivatives. A trillion. Excuse me. That would be a T for trillion in derivatives. Bank of America joined JP Morgan and Wells Fargo in setting aside billions of dollars for upcoming losses as the banks brace for a surge in defaults and delinquencies on its loans amid the complete U.S. economic shutdown. The bank reports $22 billion in revenue, generating 0.4 in earnings per share, and $4 billion in profit, which is down 45%. Now remember, this is just the first quarter. That wasn't even the bad quarter. March started to get bad, but everybody had made their payments on March 1st, so everybody was still going as far as rental payments and debt payments and equipment finance payments and all the shit that B of A has out on loan. So who's going to make payments on April 1st? Not many. How about May 1st? Not many at all, because they don't have it. And businesses are going to be shutting down very, very fast. Check this out. Ford scrambles to raise money as dwindling cash balance becomes a focus. Ford, already in a precarious position from the pandemic's shutdown in an auto market that was in recession prior to the coronavirus, is now starting to look at options to raise cash. On Monday, Ford said it expects to report a loss later this month and that it had about $30 billion on its balance sheet as of April 9th. This indicates the company has burned through $8 billion since the end of last year, according to Bloomberg. So they burned through $8 billion. That was all in March when the shutdown happened. $8 billion in 1 month. So how long will the $30 billion remaining last? Well, it's worse than March now. So I guess 10 to 15 billion now this month. And then next month another 10 to 15 billion or more. They got 2 months of life left before they are gone. And they're massively overvalued. Everything is massively overvalued on the stock market because Steve Mnuchin and the plunge protector. CEO Jim Hackett has already suspended the company's dividends and drawn $15 billion from 2 credit lines last month. Now, who is providing these credit lines? Whoever provided those credit lines is in a world of hurt, because the only time companies draw all their money out on their credit lines is if they expect to implode. That's exactly what happened. So somebody is going to get dinged for the $15 billion in 2 credit lines, and I guarantee you it's 2 of the big banks. But that's just one company, Ford. CFO said, "We continue to opportunistically assess all funding options to further strengthen our balance sheet and increase liquidity to optimize our financial flexibility. We are also identifying additional operating actions to enhance our cash position." Ford has several options it can consider, including tapping the U.S. asset-backed securities market. Oh yeah, Uncle Sam bailing out auto manufacturers again. It will aid in the revival. And here comes the depression. Empire State Manufacturing crashes the most ever to minus 78, lowest in history. Look at that chart. Look at that chart. That's us now. Manufacturing is gone. It's not coming back either. Well, in the U.S., it will come back, but it'll take years to build the factories that China had built over the last 50 years. You see why there's no V-shaped recovery? You don't even hear of V-shaped recovery. You used to hear L-shaped recovery. Now that's going away. There is no recovery. Our system was massively leveraged with huge, mega derivative bets because we let the banksters run wild with derivatives. That was done by Alan Greenspan in 1979 with Robert Rubin, Larry Summers. They they made sure that the regulation on derivatives were zero because they needed derivatives to rig the market. But why did Greenspan allow it to happen and fight for it to happen? He knew the banks would just go hog wild with derivatives. That's exactly what they did. And they destroyed themselves. And now it's just a matter of time. Here's another one. Retail icon J.C. Penney prepares to file bankruptcy protection. Bankruptcy, that means their creditors are shit out of luck. Stockholders, yeah, big deal. The creditors, J.P. Morgan, who lent these people money, are out of luck. Roughly 1 week after reports were published about the Plano, Texas-based department store exploring Chapter 11 surface, JCPenney is officially filing for bankruptcy, sending its battered shares sliding even lower. Reuters revealed last night that a filing is imminent now, and the department store chain has had to close all 850 of its stores and furlough 95,000 employees across the U.S., disrupting a turnaround plan that was to be real. Hey, you guys remember Deutsche Bank's turnaround plan? I wonder how it's going right now. Exactly. As the repocalypse moves into warp speed thanks to pressures of the novel coronavirus outbreak, a representative for the chain told Reuters that the company probably has enough cash to survive the months ahead, even as revenue dries up because of the store's closures. However, the company is considering bankruptcy protection to restructure its finances and get out from under the crushing debt payments. A decision on Chapter 11 reportedly isn't final, and JCP is reportedly weighing other alternatives, like asking creditors to enter into talks to restructure its debt so it can save money. Good luck. All the creditors are in deep shit too. Meanwhile, March retail sales data released Wednesday show a massive, nearly 20% drop in sales at department stores across the country. And that's just March. Remember, this lockdown didn't really happen until March, mid-March, that people stopped going out. It's insane. And then this. Everybody keeps asking me about what's the deal with the road to Ruta theory and oil? Because part of that theory, the third pamphlet that was released the very day that Wishes and Rainbows comic came out, the Road to Ruta Teacher's Guide came out of the Fed, and this thing called Banking Basics came out. Banking Basics, basically it's a little pamphlet about the ins and outs of banking. But there's two sections in there that are extremely important, and they're both on when banks fail. The first one is about the crashing of housing market that makes banks fail and what happened. The second one, which didn't happen in 2008, the first one happened obviously in 2008. The second one was the crashing of oil and gas. Gusher National Bank closes their doors. Who loses? All the people who invested in oil and gas assets, not just the stocks and the bonds and all that, the capital assets that were invested in, the offshore drilling rigs, all the infrastructure for manufacturing oil and gas, and the onshore rigs. The land rigs is the big one. Out of the shale in the U.S., good night. Those companies are done forever. Billions will be lost. Tens of billions, probably hundreds of billions when all this is done. And there is no slowdown. Now remember, all the WTI extends losses below $20. When you see a surge in crude inventories, that crude inventories in the U.S. is reported by the U.S. government. They play with that based on where they want the market to go. They lie, they cheat, and they steal. Absolutely. They want to destroy oil, which will destroy the dollar. Now, it might not be the plunge protection team. It might be the people that Lindsey Williams keeps talking about, the big oil magnates that control the world. Anyway, it's the U.S. government that controls this data, and if they want the price of oil to dive and the derivative people to get destroyed who went long, Bingo, they just did it. I say, hey, we got so much oil that's coming out of our ears, and then drive the price of oil. Where do I think the price of oil will go? Way down. At some point, it'll go below $10 because it's too expensive to store it. Below $10 oil. Who does this also hurt? There's Russia. Although Russia wants the U.S. to fail, at least parts of the U.S. to fail. Hurts Venezuela. Hurts Saudi Arabia. It's a game. It's a huge game. And now we have this. Home builder sentiment collapses as mortgage purchase apps plunge to lowest in 5 years. I've been saying it for a long time. And I actually have been planning on something. I don't own a house at this moment. I want to buy a house, but I want to buy a house at a decent price. It's a depreciating asset. The whole concept of a house going up in value has 100% to do, not with the amount of houses available, not with the economy, has to do with mortgage rates. Here we have mortgage rates lowest ever, but housing prices still massively overinflated. Massively. And banks aren't really lending much. If they do lend for a house, they're going to flip it so fast, make your head spin. Get it off their books. The plan is, my plan was always, hey, buy up all the gold and silver you can get. Back then I was buying gold. Now it's just silver. And the cryptos you can get. Because when this all crashes, the old system crashes, the housing market crashes because of the massive bubble. You could scoop up houses, apartment buildings, you name it, for almost nothing because you're the only one who can buy it. Because you're the only one with assets left. And the banks aren't lending. If the banks don't lend, housing prices go to, I'd say, 5% of their current value. Drop of 95%. If the banks can't lend, which is what we're getting. That's the time to scoop up houses. If you're in the market to buy a house, wait for it to bottom. Do you see any point in the next 5 years where the banks will get themselves straight from this mess? Not a chance. They will all be nationalized at some point. And will the U.S. government be involved in lending in the housing market? If they are, it'll be a complete cluster. So yeah, that was always one of the road to Ruta plans. Don't buy a house until the old system dies and we're onto a new system. And it'll take, maybe 10 ounces of silver to buy a nice $1 million mansion. Maybe 10 Litecoin to buy a mansion. I'm not kidding. When the banks crash, everything changes. And this whole housing has been the best investment since the 1970s. Of course, look at the dollar. Look what happened to the dollar. What happens when the dollar dies? And if you can't borrow from a bank, what's the value of your house? Nobody can buy a bank. Very few people can buy a bank with cash. A house. If you can't borrow from a bank, no one's buying. And I've seen more for sale signs lately around the neighborhood that I've seen in a long time. And it's just the beginning. I'm starting to drool a little. Because when the housing prices drop, I'll probably pull the trigger at 50% drop. When does that happen? I don't know. It depends how long they try to kick the can. And how long Steve Mnuchin can keep his magic bubbles floating in the air. And finally, Trump came out and said the WHO is criminal, basically, and pulled the funding. That's a big deal. It is criminal. They did hide the release of the bioweapon out of China. Absolutely 100%. Great job, Trump. I'm more and more on his side. I love Trump, everything except the market rigging. I think he should have eased out, getting closer to fair market value, not farther away from fair market. Instead, he turned on the market rigging engine to give us bubbles everywhere, highest PE ratio ever on the Dow. And now we just have to follow the default. Had he slowly released the market rigging, we wouldn't have as far to fall. But because he didn't, he did the exact opposite. When we fall, we're going to fall really hard, beyond hard. Anyway, that's what I got for you. Go to roadtoguru.com for all the up-to-date information. I am still working on the Economist magazine word jumble. If you guys want to submit your guesses on the word jumble, I think I got pretty much all of them, and I will release this report like I did the other ones on the road to Ruta. I think I'm going to combine all of them together for a big old PDF on the Economist magazine, because it's an amazing um, fortune teller, the Economist magazine. Maybe I'll do a big report on all of them, because I have all my old reports that I did on 2016, 2007. This is all the World In stuff, and the 1987 cover, obviously, the biggie. But those were in 2016, 17, I think 18, all kinds of false flags on those that they pre-told on the cover. And some really interesting stuff in this word jumble. So if you like word jumbles, go check it out. And I know the obvious one: world, Trump, win, WIN in 2020. Trump will win in 2020. It says right here. BTC, LTC, as long as they line up. So you can go LTC, Litecoin, BTC, Bitcoin. And there's a few other cryptos in there. But there's some really good stuff. Hint, 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 hint. Look for Satoshi. Hint, hint. This is Bix. You want to join the road to Ruta? Right here. Hit subscribe today. And I will be sending you one silver Ruta coin, the coolest coin ever stamped, ever made. There it is. And one Veritasium token, the crypto lottery ticket. If it is implemented, according to Cliff High's data, you'll get rich off this one lottery ticket. But it is a long shot. I'm the first one to say, no, don't buy 1 million Veritasium. It's a long shot crypto. But that long shot, if it hits, it's a lottery ticket. We'll find out. This is Bix. I'll talk to you later.